Hey guys, welcome to part 4 of our series Perspectives. I want to shift our perspective today on our purpose in life. I don't know about you, but for me, as I think about and as I have thought about at least my purpose in life and what God's purpose is for my life, I've always thought about it in the context of pursuing something and achieving something. So we talk about pursuing our purpose, right? Pursuing our passion. We talk about achieving our purpose or working towards it, or what are you supposed to do? What is your purpose? And purpose is therefore, it's assumed, it goes without saying, directly related to what we do. But I want to challenge us today to think about purpose not in terms of something we could do, work with our hands, no. Where we could go with our feet, no. What we could say, with our mouth, with our lips, no. None of the things that are external. But I want to challenge us that purpose is actually intended by God to be 100%, not partly, but 100% internal. Of course, there are actions that will come out of that, but I want to challenge us that purpose, according to God, is 100% internal. And I want to challenge us to consider this, that as your physical body is made up of DNA and genes and the different codes that make up who you are physically, the character traits, the physical traits and all these kind of things, that there is spiritual DNA, there is spiritual genetics that you have that make up who you are in your spirit, who you are in your soul, who you are as a person. And I think we'd all agree that God is much more concerned with who we're becoming than what we're doing. The what will flow out of the who, but He is ultimately concerned with who we are becoming and who we are. And I believe that when He talks about purpose, He's actually talking about the DNA of our souls, the DNA of our spirit, the supernatural DNA and genetics. So let's go to the famous verse on purpose or plan, and that is Jeremiah 29:11. Now we usually quote it as, for I know the plans I have for you, says the Lord, plans to prosper you and give you a hope and a future. But I heard somebody recently say that the more literal translation of that word plan in that verse is actually purpose. And the more I've prayed about it, the more I've thought about it, the words are not interchangeable. So instead it would read, I know the purpose I have for you, says the Lord. A purpose to give you a hope and a future, not to harm you, but to give you a hope and a future. Here's the difference between purpose and plan and why I don't think they're interchangeable. Plan to me has everything to do with doing something. Hey, what plans do you have for tonight? I've got plans tonight. I'm going to go out. I'm going to go do this. Or if you have a plan, it's usually a plan of action. If your company has a plan, it's something to go do. If somebody gives you their plans for the week, it's what they're doing. It's all related to doing an action and an external. But if we talk about purpose, maybe the end result does end up, having actions coming out of it, of course. But when we talk about purpose, when we really gather around that idea and we try to dig into that with ourselves, or if we're helping somebody else, or the purpose of a business, the purpose of an organization, whatever it might be, it really has to do with who you are, who that person is, who the business is, who the organization wants to be and wants to be known as. To me, purpose is all about who you are. If the right translation of that verse is God saying, I know the purpose I have for you, not the plan I have for you, then no longer do we need to be thinking related to that verse or anything else, whoa, God, I really want to be on track. I really want to be doing what you want me to do today. I really want to be driving towards that accomplishment. I want to be driving towards that goal. I want to be doing those actions that you would have. I want to be involved in the things you want me to be involved in and not involved in the things you don't want me to be involved in. What big thing do you have for me to achieve in my life? Do you want me to be Billy Graham one day? Do you want me to be, Albert Einstein one? I mean, I don't know, the CEO of Google one day? Whatever big dream you have in your head of accomplishing doing something, you can still dream that, you can still think that, you can still ask God that. But I'm saying, I believe God would say, yeah, all that stuff is cool, but actually what I meant in that verse when I say I know the purpose I have for you, not to harm you, but to give you a hope and a future, has everything to do with who you are and who you're becoming. And then I'll add a second thing to that. I think God would say, if your heart, if inside of who you are is kind of saying to him, God, I want to be all of who you want me to be. God, I want to know you and I want to walk in your path. I'm not perfect. I haven't arrived yet, or anything like that, but that's what I want. I believe God would say, and this is big, I believe God would say, hey, Susie, Joey, Larry, Curly, Billy, right? In this moment, you've 100% achieved the purpose I have for you. In this very moment, he lives outside of time and space. In this very moment where you are right now, in this millisecond, Billy, you are fully living out the purpose of who I want you to be in this moment. And then the next moment, I want to grow you more. The next moment, I want to grow you more. But in this moment, the purpose I have for you is fully achieved. It's not to harm you, it's to give you a hope in a future, to become this person, not to do this thing. So to me, there is no line in the future. The finish line will be, of course, death and we go to heaven, but there's no kind of line where he goes, oh, good, you finally got here. Now you finally lived out the plan that I have for you. I don't believe so. I believe what God is saying to us, and this is shifting perspective, that's what our series is about this week, is instead of living this life where we go, oh, I know, God, you got plans for me, and I'm going to trust that you got plans for me, and I don't know what those plans are, and I'd really like to know what those plans are, and I really want to live in them, and I'm anxious about that. I think he says, take that off the table. He's going to do the thing. He's faithful. He will make the things happen in your life that need to happen. He will, if you are seeking him and intimate with him and making your priority in your life all about him and him helping you become who he wants you to be, the doing will absolutely happen. The achieving will happen. You don't need to worry about that anymore. Instead, I want us to rest in, if our heart is right, I want us to rest in that he is much more concerned in purpose and who we are and who we're becoming. And in this moment, I want to say to you, if your heart is right, if your heart is saying going after God, right? I'm not saying don't measure it. Don't say, well, is my heart right? Is my heart right? No, I'm saying if you're watching this video and you desire it, then I say your heart is right. And I say that God is saying to you in this moment, that's it. That's the full purpose I have for you. For the spiritual DNA in your body to want for me to make you who I want you to be. If you are currently wanting for me to make you who I want you to be, then that's who I want you to be. And don't keep wandering off like, oh, is there anything else? He's saying, no, rest in that. And that is freedom. And that is joy. All right. Thanks, guys. Talk to you in part 5.